touche pas. Ne me touche pas.
Viens, Paddy. Viens.
Ne me touche pas.
Viens.
Ok.
No problem. Wrong bet. Hunting season is over.
You know, I'm not going to lie. I've always been a big Jean-Claude Van Damme fan.
You know, me too. Who the hell wasn't?
I would have to agree. If you weren't, then I don't know who you are. You obviously weren't a kid of the 80s and 90s.
Obviously couldn't do the splits on command while screaming.
Right, exactly. And you know what? You probably would be the person who would touch your future self, and then you both would turn into a pile of glob glue.
While destroying the space-time continuum.
Exactly. Welcome.
I'm glad we established that. Thank you.
You also probably didn't rock a wonderful mullet either.
Hell no.
So welcome.
And on that note, welcome
to the first episode of the Jean-Claude Van Damme cast.
That name.
That name actually comes from two friends. I got to give a shout out because I jokingly made a tweet on Twitter saying,
Good place to do it.
I really wanted to make a Jean-Claude Van Damme podcast, and my buddies Bob and Jim both were throwing names back and forth.
Can we call them Jim Bob?
Jim Bob. Yep.
All right.
Jim Bob. That's their fusion dance. Not to get Dragon Ball Z, but martial arts. It all works itself in.
Still splits. It still counts.
So they somehow we've all came up with the Jean-Claude Van Damme cast. So that's what I decided. I said, if I ever go through with this, I will give you guys the proper credit. So there's the shout out to him.
And we will later edit that out.
Yep.
But technically you still did.
So we decided to sit here, have some fun, talk about some of our favorite childhood memories and rewatch some of these films that some of them have a great light to us, the great
yes.
memories. We just know.
Formative effect.
Yes, we know all about them, but maybe we haven't watched them in a while. Some of them we haven't seen. Especially some of his later stuff.
After around 2000 was around my cutoff. Otherwise, bits and pieces, really. On Spike TV.
Right, yeah, exactly. You catch that In Hell with LT and all that, and one of his
LT
random.
wasn't that, was it?
Yeah, LT wasn't that one. And then some of his random other ones too, where he plays some sort of SEAL Team 6. I don't know.
Or a prisoner again.
Or another prisoner, yeah. Or, a former Marine prisoner.
Yes.
So, yes, today we are actually just going to start, basically, and this is probably just going to be a small episode, but we're going to look at some of his smaller roles, like the cameos and whatnot.
His very early stuff.
His very early stuff. And when doing all this, we kind of found out that he actually did a film he's not even credited for on IMDb.
Yep.
And I believe the film is called Woman Between Wolf and Dog. Which,
in case you couldn't tell, it was a French film.
Yes, which is a French film. And we look at these films and we actually basically try to figure out a few things. The split factor, because that's his trademark. What we were trying to figure out what you would call it, a groan. What did you say it was?
Oh no, what did I call it? A rasp.
A rasp.
It's very breathy.
So you got to count how many there are those, and basically if someone in his family has died. So those are kind of like the three things that you got to look for in this.
I think punching or kicking someone in the junk should also.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's a common. It's a commonality in his filmography.
Right. Yeah, that almost goes hand in hand with the splits.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, definitely.
Attention to genitalia.
Genitalia will be sought after in this on this podcast. So, I mean, I guess we could just go straight ahead into his filmography, his earlier stuff. Besides that scene in between woman between wolf and dog or whatever,
among his
or dog and wolf.
Among his best work,
he's obviously been known as the Brussels from Muscles because he was born in
you got it backwards.
Belgium. Oh, the muscles from Brussels.
Muscles from Brussels.
Well, what did I say?
Brussels
from Muscles. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah. Start a new nickname right now.
Yeah, because he's from Belgium, and he started his martial arts career at the age of 11, which
believable.
Yep, his father introduced him to the martial arts, and then he ended up basically becoming a badass, man. He trained for 4 years and earned a spot on the Belgium karate team, and he won the European Professional Karate Association's middleweight championship as a teenager.
Wow.
So that's pretty. This is
before the Kumite.
Yeah, man, definitely before the Kumite, and definitely before he had to put his knuckles into some glue and some glass.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
and dance and fight people while drunk.
Yep.
Best training method I've ever encountered.
You know what? That's one.
I train that way quite often, actually.
That's exactly what I do.
Doesn't work as well for me. I require more training.
Oh, it's okay. We'll get you there one day. So then he ends up basically traveling over to the U.S. and...
How old was he when he...
Oh, geez. He was a young dude when he traveled, so...
Living the dream.
Yeah, born in 1960, so he's, 19, travels to the U.S. 1979. So young guy. He ends up retiring from martial arts in 1982, and then he gets into basically more of the... LA scene. He takes English classes and he works as a carpet layer, a pizza delivery man,
Is this
a limo
metaphor
driver,
or a carpet layer?
and then he got a job at a club as a bouncer thanks to Chuck Norris.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah, and this is where you see him actually appear in a small role in Missing in Action in 1984.
What role does he play?
He plays, I believe, just like a soldier.
Oh, okay.
He's just as a cameo.
He wasn't like a Vietnamese general or anything?
No, nothing crazy.
I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah, that's kind of like the start. He comes over, he's just like Arnold in a way, making living the American dream.
Hell yeah, with an extremely thick accent the entire time.
Oh yeah, exactly. The entire time.
That you just ignore. His roles, sometimes it makes sense, most of the time it doesn't.
Nope, not at all, like especially Street Fighter.
Colonel Guile.
But he makes his way over here, and before he does that, he stars in this Dog and Wolf movie. And here's what he does. He doesn't actually star in it. He's actually just a background character. He's seen in a theater.
It's a subtle role.
Where he and his buddy are just watching whatever film. And he should have got the Oscar for it right there.
I agree. I think it's his best work.
And then later on, you only get to see the back of him as he's sitting in the grass listening to some dude tell a story.
Mm-hmm. Which only leaves you wanting more.
Exactly. I really couldn't finish the film because I was so torn that's all I got. So, yeah, there was his start, believe it or not. And he's uncredited for that. But then we get him in Monaco Forever, which comes
also
out,
among his best work.
Yes, in 1984. And
speaking of attention to genitals,
he is. There we go. Does this count?
I think it's his first. Yeah,
he is credited as the gay karate man. I kid you not. That's his credit. Actually,
well, you can tell by the way he was dressed.
He only makes about 2 minutes and 12 seconds of appearance into this film. And he's on the front cover of the film because he is the only known actor in it. So if you ever find this somewhere in your Walmart bargain bin, please pick this up.
And give it to us.
Yes, yeah.
Post haste.
That's at P.O. Box 1320, Lincoln Park, Michigan, 48146, please.
Oh, yeah.
Attention, Jean-Claude Van Damme cast. So he makes his way. He's driving a convertible. I don't know what kind of car it is. It's a convertible sports car.
Weird, yeah. a really old-fashioned,
Yeah, very old-fashioned.
phallic sports car.
Very phallic, definitely. And he's picking up a dude that's in a tuxedo. The dude ends up like...
We haven't seen the whole movie, if you can't tell.
Right, exactly.
Hard to
'Cause
find.
It's hard to find, actually, surpringly. But finding the Van Damme clip isn't hard to find.
Oh, no.
So he picks up a dude who basically had an all-nighter. It sounds like he lost at the casino or whatever. And JCVD just all of a sudden gets really flirty with him.
Yeah,
like they're
all
driving
handsy.
and he
Like,
puts his hand on the guy's leg, like the inside of his leg.
He's
and
demonstrating on me right now.
Oh, you work out, huh? Good
Ignore
thing-
the meaning slappy noise.
I was like, good thing you have the shorts on so people can
Hot
actually hear
slapping sounds.
that. Oh, we got to take a break. Hold on.
And we're back.
So he basically is trying to touch this guy's dick. The guy's like, I'm going to teach you a lesson.
In manners.
So Van Damme's even wearing like a gi top
with like
with
brown
no shoes and
pants,
brown
yeah.
pants on.
That was a really bizarre outfit.
He's like a farmer, a karate farmer man. And
I was really off-put by that.
yeah, it was really weird. So he takes off the really rugged gi, and obviously he's just shredded. And the dude's just like, oh no, what did I get myself into?
And it is like 7 like spinning classic Van Damme
Spinning
roundhouse
back
like
kicks, yeah, like his total trademark kick.
It's funny how like they just it was just totally vintage Jean-Claude Van Damme in action, and that I was like, oh wow.
Yes, yeah, for real. And then the guy runs away in comedic fashion,
Yeah, and like Benny
fast
Hill
forward.
fast
Yep.
motion. Yeah.
Yep, exactly, because he's scared shitless. So, I mean, I guess I would do the same thing if a gay karate dude in a convertible was grabbing at my wiener, and then I was like, "I'm going to teach you a lesson." And he,
Are you sure that's how it would have went down?
Nope.
If it was, especially if it was,
If it was Van
Jean-Claude,
Damme, yeah. Let's be completely honest. I would have fanboyed out, and
I love your work.
that would have been on Skinamax.
I wonder if he spoke English back then.
I don't know, honestly. Maybe he might have been speaking some broken English.
So, like the amount that he can speak now?
Pretty much so.
Hell yeah.
Probably. I think one of the things, even though this was just a small cameo, 2 minutes, it was actually, he was really funny, and it showed his, like, he has a comedic side, even though everyone
not
knows
taking
him
himself
as his
too
actions.
seriously.
Yes, exactly. Especially in the 80s, to play, like, a gay guy
Yeah.
like that. I mean, nowadays, okay, sure, yeah, everyone would do it, and then it might be a little even far-fetched, like you see, like, maybe, like, in a Seth Rogen film or something like that, or The Office, Steve Carell kissing Oscar, like just
scene.
going the extra mile. But like back then in the 80s, that's kind of crazy to think like, oh yeah, hey, I'm gonna do that. We're gonna all have a fun time and laugh at it.
And he's gonna grab this guy's dick.
Mm-hmm.
He did totally just grab a handful too. Might have been a stun hand though.
I hope not. So yeah, that's his beginning right there.
His
Then
humble beginnings.
we get to see him missing in action as a soldier, and you don't actually really get to see him.
How, what a
Honestly.
tease, two of the biggest martial arts actors of all time.
I know. Chuck Norris is in the film, and JCVD just plays this soldier in the background.
It's funny, it's like sort of like a passing the torch or a 6 degrees kind of thing, because Chuck Norris was in a movie with Bruce Lee.
That's right.
And then he was in a movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm sure you could pass it to 25 other actors now that
Oh,
Expendables
yeah.
2 has come out.
Yeah. So, well. So then we move forward, and we get into basically one of his greatest roles of all time, and that was in Breakin' as a spectator in First Dance sequence. And for those, besides the Bloodsport gifs or gifs, depending on who you're talking to, I know I'm talking
Between
to a
two people, yeah. 2 people in this room.
Yep. Between the Bloodsport gifs, there's also
I
one.
pronounce it good gif, actually.
Oh, okay. All right.
Jigif.
I'll
Maybe
respect
not jigif.
that.
That sounds like it might be a racial slur.
You're like, oh no. So there's a gif. of Van Damme dancing, and he's in like a black unitard, basically.
Yes.
And he's kind of doing like the shoulder shimmy, and it's pretty much the precursor to Kickboxer.
Yes, very, very similar.
And I mean, he's just getting his groove on, and he's just one of the background dancers.
One with the rhythm.
Clapping hands. I don't know how he did that, because like they must have been playing the music there, because obviously the music's dubbed in. Because Van Damme's like on point with the music as well, like his clapping and everything.
I've heard that if you just record him dancing and then play whatever music you want, it will be in tune with whatever music that you play.
I wouldn't doubt it, because this is Van Damme we're talking about. So yeah, he's in this scene for a good few minutes, and then he gets concerned when they're getting concerned, when the other break dancers come in, and
you can tell, he's kind of chewing the scenery a little bit.
He
there.
actually said in an interview that he was doing his best to try to get noticed.
Yep,
so that makes
you could tell he's chewing the scenery. Yep.
Because like there's everyone else dancing and whatnot, but I really think it's that shimmy that really gets him noticed. But
I agree.
It doesn't get him noticed too much, because he ends up being in a film called Barber Street, which he's an extra in the police arrival sequence, and I couldn't find this at all.
Me either.
But
I didn't look for it.
Oh man.
So that might have contributed to it.
Well, that doesn't help us out here.
Oh.
This is not a good first episode. Oh, no.
I'm sorry. I'll do the splints for 20 minutes in penance.
That's okay, because then we get into No Retreat, No Surrender, which is going to be its own episode, which we are going to review that fairly soon. But before we actually get into his roles, the podcast basically is going to look through his filmography. We are going to watch and review. Like I said, we are going to have some fun little segments as well, so you guys can enjoy that as well.
Us attempting to do the splits will be involved.
Yes. I'm going to be trying my DDP yoga. That's actually not an ad for DDP yoga, so that I can hopefully...
It's an act of love.
Yep, I can hopefully do these splits. So.
He's trying to get me on it, so I, the substance abuse and whatnot, and
right, yeah,
DDTing people all the time.
Actually, the Jean-Claude Van Damme cast is actually in relation to me filming Jeff this whole time, and it's going to be called The Resurrection of Jeff Jefferson.
I'd watch that. Sounds pretty good.
Anyway, so I'm really excited because I must have missed this episode. There's an episode of Friends from 1996 with Van Damme.
I must have missed it too because I've never seen it.
You've never seen an episode of Friends?
I've never watched Friends.
Oh, well, you're going to have to...
Two kinds of people.
You're going to have to watch this episode.
Yeah, I know. That's
going to be great. But he also has a role in the Last Action Hero, which just so happens to be the...
greatest movie of all time.
Yes. But also the picture to Last Action Heroes, actually, where Jeff is saving Charlie. And Van Damme, basically, he plays himself, but he actually plays Jean-Claude Van Damme. It's not Jean-Claude Van Damme as himself. It's Jean-Claude Van Damme as Jean-Claude Van Damme.
It's the movie gets awfully meta at times if you haven't seen it. What I love about it, it's just so funny, like how the movie pokes fun at action movies as a genre and gets into like bizarre alternate universes.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't do well at all, which made me like it even more.
And man,
my hipster self.
They tried with it. Like
I have
Burger
like
King
20 of the
promotions,
action figures that were like they're all like $3. I was like, okay, they can fight with my Terminator action figures.
What was the name of the evil dude?
Oh shit!
Is it the Ripper?
Yeah, I think it was. Which one? That was the one from the one that wasn't played by the guy who was also in Game of Thrones.
This is going really well.
Hold on. I wasn't expected to be asked about movies.
Yeah, it was Ripper. Ripper.
Told you.
Tommy Noonan, Ripper. So
great character actor.
The toy basically jerked himself off, if you remember.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because he was supposed to have an axe. But like, if I can't remember if it was a thing on the back or if you squeeze his legs.
I can't remember. One of the proud line of action figures that inadvertently jerked themselves off.
He had a big dick too, man, because that stroke went wide.
Oh
man.
yeah, just like the Tarzan action figure.
Yep.
And But he was supposed to be holding a vine or something. His was a little more weird, but
Yeah, exactly. But
classic Disney with their weird possible sexual innuendo.
yeah. Yeah, and he's played some cameos in some other films, but that's more recently in his life. And I'd rather not talk about those until we get to them, which is going to be way down the line.
We're going in chronological order.
Yes, thank you. We definitely are. So after No Retreat, No Surrender, we're going to do Bloodsport, which you've already done it on Flash Action Heroes. So maybe I'll
Happy to do it again and again.
I think I'm just going to take your side of the audio, and then I'm going to dub in my side, my reactions with it.
Yes, I agree. No, I disagree.
No, so that's the start of the Jean-Claude Van Damme cast. We are also going to be looking at some of the stuff of Jean-Claude in the news, which just recently, actually, Jean-Claude Van Damme is doing a television short for the Amazon season, the pilot season, and it's up against two other TV shows for the potential to be an Amazon series.
They're big contenders.
It really is. This one's called Jean-Claude Van Johnson, and it's based on a famous action movie hero and martial arts star comes out of retirement to assume his alter ego as undercover private contractor named Jean-Claude Van Johnson. He must also deal with aging and his handler Vanessa, the ex he still loves. And I'll tell you what, dude, I watched this yesterday and I absolutely loved it.
You really liked it, huh?
Not just for the fact that Van Damme's in it. Like, I mean, that just puts it over the moon. But it's a funny show, and I really want to see this get made.
It sounds really fascinating.
I did watch the other two. I watched The Tick as well, and I watched I Love Dick, and both of them were good. Like the I Love Dick was more like a kind of drama, like a dramedy, like almost like a black comedy, but more drama.
Like Tyler Perry.
So, no.
Oh,
not like that. No, sorry, it's okay.
How would you compare the new Tick, like judging by the pilot, with the Tick with Patrick Warburton? Did you watch that?
Yeah, I did. It's been a long, long time though.
Actually, I put it off for years and years. I thought it'd be horrible. I tried watching it. I really enjoyed it.
The Tick wasn't bad. The Tick wasn't bad at all. And actually, the Tick and Van Johnson right now are pretty neck and neck as for ratings go.
So we know what to vote for.
So, yeah.
Do you vote for that to win?
I don't know. Ratings? I don't know. I honestly have no clue. I'm assuming it's by ratings, but like you actually need like an Amazon account to rate. So, of course, I gave Van Johnson 5 stars because,
of course,
you have to. But yeah, I suggest if you have Amazon Prime, go check it out. Check the other two out as well. Actually, Van Johnson has a higher IMDb score than the new Tick.
Really?
Yeah, it's at like an
8.2,
and the Tick's at a 7.4.
It's a decent lead.
The Tick was funny though. It wasn't bad, and
it's gotten a lot of hype.
Yeah. I was actually really kind of sad because like when I thought the Tick automatically was getting its own show.
Mm-hmm. I thought so too,
but apparently not. No, they're doing this thing, and I was like, "There's no way that any of these others are going to beat the Tick because it has such a big cult following."
Yes,
but I was surprised to see how neck and neck it is. Us Van Dammers, we are actually just as big as a cult following as the Tick. So,
if not bigger.
Yeah, that's true. So we're going to be looking at that. We're going to actually maybe look at the UK did a TV series with Van Damme.
Really?
Yes, and I believe all the episodes are on YouTube. I remember watching it one time while I was at work, and I was like, "Oh, this is sweet." And then it showed like a scene of topless dancers, and I was like, "Oh, I can't watch this at work anymore," because I forgot that it's UK television and they can get away with that, whereas in the States we can't get away with that. So I was like, "Oh, never mind."
Without paying money.
Yeah, so I think we'll watch some of that as well, but we're mostly going to stick with his movies.
That sounds like a good idea. I agree.
And learn
Van
more
Damme
about the
and
life.
Topless dancing.
Yeah, exactly. It goes hand in hand.
Was that the name of the show?
No. I think it was. What was it called? I don't know what it was called. Van Damme and Me. I don't know.
Van Damme it.
So yeah, there we go. That's gonna be it. We all know that Van Damme is a huge animal lover.
Yes.
So we'll be making mentions about that. And I've actually seen him do some weird stuff on YouTube. Like legitimately with some YouTubers, like a sketch.
Really?
Yeah, so this was quite a few years ago. And Van Damme actually, like the whole thing was the kid making fun of him. And then all of a sudden he stops because like the other two like look up and he's like, Jean-Claude Van Damme's right behind me, isn't he? And he like bends over and I think he kicks the crap out of the kid and then that's it. But
I wonder if it's actually scripted or if he actually does do that, because I've heard that he's legitimately beaten people horribly in the process of his filmmaking career.
oh yeah, man. I know. Well, the whole Dolph Lundgren thing was all set up. They did that on purpose.
Yeah, I can believe that.
But the Steven Seagal stuff, that's something that still to this day they have a rivalry.
I can believe that too.
So, I mean, that's
Steven Seagal. Oh, I love that guy.
yeah, yep. That's
The only 400-pound man to own his own dojo in Japan. That doesn't relate to sumo wrestling.
yeah. So there was that. There was the time when Judo Gene made Steven Seagal shit his pants. Gene LaBelle.
Oh, that's right.
So, but you know, one of the funny things about Van Damme, we joke about his accent and whatnot, but he has some flawless impersonations. Like,
Really?
he's done a caricature of Sylvester Stallone, and that's pretty funny.
I would like
it's
to
pretty
hear
funny.
that.
He also did another one of Dolph Lundgren, and that's pretty spot
Another
on, too.
accented, not as heavily as
Yeah.
He just sounds weird.
He just sounds like he's trying to really enunciate.
Yeah, exactly.
Van Damme splits out. How many Van Damme splits would you give his cameos?
I would give them 6.
6 splits?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I would give him 6 splits too.
Very good. It's a consensus of splits.
Yeah, definitely. I think once we get into it, we definitely will get a little bit more excited about the No Retreat, No Surrender. That's going to be a fun one because he basically gets his first opportunity to not really star in the film, but he plays the antagonist. And he's a bad guy. And that's pretty much unheard of up until basically Expendables 2, really.
You never really see it.
So
He's played bad boys, anti-heroes, but never, He's even played
he's
naughty twins, but...
That's right, yeah. But I think there's one after No Retreat, No Surrender where I think he plays a bad guy again. But that's it. And then in the Expendables 2. So it's a long line of the Van Damme just kicking ass and taking names.
Just as it should be.
All right. I am John.
And I am Jeff.
And you have been listening to the first ever episode of Jean-Claude Van Damme Cast.
That was my impersonation.
To always use your mind. That's how we have to end each show with the Van Damme quote.
Oh, perfect.
T'as beaucoup de chance. Femmelette.